Dreamy Aaron Zen Warrior. Blah. Dreamy Aaron Zen Warrior signing in. Hi, everyone. Man, there are a lot of things to talk about this week. It's so funny as a being doing my work, I guess, as a quad ride, as a projector. I don't even know anymore. Whatever it is, being out here in the world, there are just, as soon as I'm interacting with people, there are so many different things to be talking about. And please do all the like, followy, commenty things, because that helps me bother to do any of this stuff. But I also do it because it's just fun. It's just super fun to download the observations of the projector quad right life. But I've been talking to a 1-3 splenic projector friend today, and just finished with a splenic projector guy who's had a very, very interesting career in his systems. And, as I'm talking to my splenic projector friend, I am reminded that the projector perspective gives us this idea of being the good guy. It's because we're always thinking about the other. That's our whole mechanism. Our auric reality is turned outwards, which also means it's not turned inwards, which I think needs to be remembered. You are not looking at yourself. You are not getting a very good view of yourself as a projector. I think being quad right, that makes a little bit of a difference, but it's still, we're always orientated outwards. It takes quite a bit to take that pause and that observation. And then, you're in a mechanism that has a perception. How fucking accurate are you anyway? And everybody else's perception is different. Everybody's version of the matrix has a little bit of a twist to it. There are 16 different viewpoints people come from mentally. So ultimately, how I see myself and how the next person sees myself, well, they're all through different matrices, essentially, right? Different mental mechanics. But ultimately, I think there's a real misnomer for the projector because they are non-energy types, because they do have a tendency to run themselves badly, because most of them don't know what they are. And then when they do know what they are, the deconditioning process is so essential, and it's so long. This is so long. Because, as a third line will tell you, there's a refining process to this. It's okay, I need to be recognized and invited. Yeah, and then it also needs to be your authority. And then if your authority has conscious activation to it, you're going to have to watch out, because your mind's going to try and get involved. And then you're going to get involved in shit that you probably shouldn't have gotten involved in, because mentally you fucked it up. You let your mind help make the decision. And then the projector ends up bitter because they went in trying to help and they kind of got slapped by whatever the situation was, and they don't get to feel successful. So when they don't get to feel successful and they feel underappreciated, they have this real tendency to go into bitterness. And you see, the thing about bitterness or any not self theme is it's when you as an individual did not run yourself correctly. And so it is an opportunity to get a glimpse of yourself. It is an opportunity to turn that focus back on yourself. Even as a projector, no matter how badly you do it, it is through the other that we recognize the form of ourselves, by recognizing the other. And as we recognize things in other people, we are able to recognize them in ourselves easier. How good a view you ever really get? Probably not that good, you do the best you can. And that's the journey. The generator is turned in, and we as projectors can often see the generator as being selfish because their view is always on themselves. Their view is always in the self mechanism. And it's like, well, the generator's never really going to get it. And that's true. A generator's never going to get the reality of a projector. We don't have energy. We don't have a sustained motor. Even if we have motors, running our motors and attempting to be like generators is incredibly costly for a projector. Throwing our energy around in the wrong invitation with the wrong signals, by not listening to our authorities properly or not checking for recognition. This shit's expensive for a projector. It's really expensive. Generator's never going to get that because it's just not as expensive for them. And there's reasons that that's probably a good thing. And there's reasons that the expense to the projector is what pushes them to be efficient, to find new ways, to find systems and protocols and methods that they can then share with the generator to make the generator more efficient. But ultimately, when the projector ends up in their bitterness, there is this real tendency for them to go, but I'm the nice guy. I was doing the thing for the other. I was trying to help the other. And the last part is true. You were trying to help the other, and you probably even did, and they didn't even appreciate it because you got into the wrong situation. But a projector becomes a nicer essence because its mechanism gives it a different viewpoint. Because your mechanism is a conditioning. Just like your whole chart, right, is about mapping the conditioning of the star fields. Even the auric reality is a conditioning on your system. You are learning from the viewpoint of a projector avatar. And the lesson you are getting in this life is what other people are doing. And the reason you want to help others is because you want to feel success. That's not a nice guy motivation. It's just a motivation. It's not even about being a nice guy or a not nice guy, actually. It's about auric mechanism and doing what you feel driven to do. You didn't wake up one morning and go, oh, I'm going to be the nicest guy on the planet. You woke up one morning and you looked at someone and you saw them fucking it up and you go, I could help you with that. And I think the bottom line is, and I was saying this to someone, to my splenic projector friend today, actually, I was saying to her, essentially, most people have a good heart. And when I say most, I mean, I think that I do feel that there are people out there who consciously choose to not be hearty. They consciously choose, actually more people than I think, to other people. And actually, we do this all the time in war, right? We look at those people over there doing horrific things and we judge them and we go, well, they're different. They're separate to us. I can love my family, but I cannot love them. I cannot have compassion for them. How can I have compassion for warmongers? How can I have compassion for rapists? How can I have compassion for a narcissist? How can I have compassion for a psychopath? I challenge you that it's actually not that hard to consider what it might be like to do those things, what it might feel like to feel compelled to do those things, and how horrific that reality might be. I would suggest to you that compassion isn't actually that far away. But quite often we look at other people and we go, well, I can love the ones I want to love, but I can't love those others. But you see, the projector learns to appreciate others because of its mechanism, and through the familial cross of planning for 400 years, we became better socialists, not because we woke up one day and independently decided we were going to be good guys, but because the background star fields conditioned us. And it's same for the projector. Your mechanism conditions you and educates you about looking out for the other, looking after the other, looking for the other, helping the other, and it makes you more compassionate. But ultimately, it doesn't mean you're a bad guy. Everybody, I believe, unless you've deliberately chosen to switch off your heart, has a great heart. Most of us are so out of alignment, it is impossible for us to be there and really take advantage of the great hearts we do have. And so a projector gets a unique opportunity to really develop its heart because it is turned outwards, because it is looking at the other, and because it is going to get slapped hard many times every time it steps into something without invitation, without recognition, or outside of its authority, whether you're splenic, self-projected, emotional, ego self-projected, mental projected, whatever your authority is, whether it's external or internal as well, worth mentioning, you are being invited as a projector to be very compassionate to yourself and to others, and to yourself because you're going to get it really wrong. But it doesn't make you the nicer guy. It makes your unique experience in this body turned out towards the other, and that is it, right? I've met many really beautiful generators that do amazing, amazing things for people. And they do it in alignment. They do it out of correctness. I've met gurus that are phenomenal generators. But their pathway has been to be turned into the self, has been to understand the self. And through that, and through their mechanism and through their projected channels, through whatever, through their undefined self-center. I mean, there's so many different ways, open, emotional center, that you can hold space for others, that you can be sensitive to others, that you can be invited to be compassionate, to be about the other, but the auric reality for the projector is all consuming in the fact that it is for the other. And it's very easy for the projector to feel like they're the good guy because they did it for the other. And the other was selfish, And it's like, you go after success because you're driven to, because it feels good for you, And that's a selfish motivation. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. I think being a 1-3, which is, the individual that has the individual life path to build foundations for individuals to stand up on, to help people build their foundation, in my case, towards the self. I think that it's very easy to remember that I'm very selfish, because a 1-3 profile is very selfish, but also that in my selfishness, it is correct. And I preach that to everybody else. In your selfishness, you can be correct. When you turn into the mechanism, when you become the great responder, when you become the great emotional projector, when you become the great splenic mover, when you let the body guide you, when you keep your fucking hands and feet inside the vehicle and don't lose one because you decided to think that you were doing anything here. And see, that's a misconstrued selfishness where you think you do something. None of us are doing any of it. Even those people out there that are doing shit against what you think they should be doing, like, adjusting the financial system, etc., etc., it's all background frequency involved. There's conditioning involved in all of it. The whole thing is happening all for our benefit. Everything is for our benefit, even the things we don't like. If it was all roses, you guys wouldn't fucking do anything with regards to your own awareness. And that's what the name of the game is. And so the name of the game for the projector here is to become aware that its motivation is still self-motivated. And it's hard for the projector to do that. And it's only through recognition of correct self-motivation, correct authority. Fuck, I do things I feel to do for people. If you ask my mind, I'd say, fuck no, I don't want to do that. I'm a 1-3. That mind is a 1-3 selfish mind, But I do it because I feel to, and I do it without question. I go, I feel to do it, I'm going to do it. Really? Are you sure you want to do that? It's felt. I'm going to follow the vehicle. And the vehicle takes me on such a cool journey. And when my head gets in the way, it fucks up the journey. It's that simple. Oh, you really help others. Yes, what I'm built to do. If I could not help others, trust me, 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't fucking do it. And do I help others incorrectly? Yeah, I still fuck that up. I'm emotional. Sometimes 60%, 55% clarity is all you get. So, you make a decision and hope for the best. And that can turn into bitterness. That can turn into looking at another and going, wow, you selfish ass motherfucker. What's really, really interesting is when you see a projector's selfishness and you try to help another projector as a projector, and they don't appreciate you, because their recognition is so off as a projector. That's why you're helping them in the first place. So their ability to really recognize you, I mean, God, I have to say, as a projector, shitty projectors make me want to punch people in the face and take my sword to actual necks and hear the bones crunch. Like, I can't even tell you. Right? I want to see blood piss all over the floor sometimes. Because a projector that does not recognize itself doesn't recognize other people very well. And as a projector trying to help that, they're going to question you. They're going to put you through the ringer the most. They are the most irritating. Because they're so out of their auric mechanism. So, and for a projector, it's not just about money. Fuck, money does help. I would have to say the recognition that I receive from my generators is often in helpful things. They like to help me. They'll offer me their energy. They'll give me money when I didn't ask for it. They'll be like, look, you really helped me out here. Let me give you more, in appreciation and recognition. there is a real theme within the human design community that recognition equals money. I'm like, there's a lot of not self fucking messaging out there. And I think you have to remember that when Ra was talking about money, he was like, you can make money in the not self. In fact, everybody's making money in the not self. That's really where the money is made. So that idea of projectors making money, you know, like the only way to measure recognition is money. I'm like, no, when I feel to do something, I do something. And I find recognition comes, and it comes in multiple formats. I get other invitations. I get things come to me. I get houses offered to me. I mean, the guy I was stepping on at the time that he invited me into this palace of a frickin' house that totally changed my reality moving to Auckland. I mean, I can't put a price on that. And he paid me for the body work. And then he offered me this too. And I pay him for the house. Sure I do. I tell you what, I don't pay him as much as it's worth. I definitely know that now. I've been out there shopping for houses to move into because now he needs it back, but it served its purpose, you know? So, and recognition for what that did for me. That's my job. I get to recognize that tribal quality in his chart recognized me, and it gave me something that I cannot put a price on. Fuck, would I have wanted him to pay me double for the stepping on him session that I did? Not really. This was worth way more. You never know. You just never know what the reward is going to be when the recognition is correct. But I can tell you right now, the people who have recognized me the most have not been projectors. And yet, I say that, and yet, that's in my work when I'm working with people. When I have been out there getting help from others, my teacher, Philip Beach, he's a splenic projector, my teacher, Chetan Parkin, I've had instant recognition from them, but we're talking about projectors who are working in alignment. So they have recognized me, and I felt very recognized by them, you know, and I've felt no need to justify myself to them. The amount of times I have to justify myself to projectors who don't recognize me is fucking hilarious. I'm like, oh, I'm working with an idiot again, you know. So it's a funny life and it's a funny ride, but I really wanted to drop this message to projectors who fall into their bitterness. You're not the fucking good guy. Like, stop that narrative. You're a projector doing your projector work, and you're working out where you should be putting that work and that focus. And if you're in bitterness, you fucked something up. Maybe your boundaries are off. Maybe you did get involved in the right thing, but you actually just didn't ask for what you needed. I do that too. You know, you felt that you wanted to help there, but you didn't ask for what you wanted in return. Or you stayed helping for too long, you know. Sometimes your job is in and out, right? And that's hard for a projector because there's a 7-year lock-in, right? Sometimes you just test the water. You get in, you offer something, and you walk the fuck away before the lock-in occurs. Once the lock-in occurs, now you need boundaries. Now you need all sorts of things. And have you locked into the right person? Because that's a real fucker. I can attest to that, right? So you end up locked in with an idiot for fucking 7 years. Great. And as a projector, there are going to be points, there are going to be days where they are all idiots. And then you realize you're the idiot, and that's why you're surrounded by idiots. So it's, you know, it's a fun ride. It's an amusing ride. The pathway to enlightenment is fraught with dangers, my friends. And it's a perilous journey, and you may not make it. But hey, what else are you going to do? Like, follow, do all the fun things, rewatch, comments. I may listen, I may not. I may care, I may not. But, you know, let's see where we end up. Have a great day. And yes, Pete, I know my camera is fucked. I just saw an old friend of mine pop in who works in film. And yeah, I know the camera's fucked. I've got to replace my phone, and I will do. But I'm still going to do these because it's fun. Sorry about the fuzzy wuzzies. Bye.